We're back in the lands of the Elden Ring here on Xbox Series S, taking a look at the 1.03 update. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So with the 1.03 update, there are some fixes, some improvements, some game balance mechanics, some little additional things added here or there, but the biggest improvement for the Xbox consoles is that they have actually taken the time to improve some of the performance and the load times of the game. So here on the Series S, we have two modes that are present. We've got an option that prioritizes frame rate and an option that prioritizes quality. So the quality mode is a native 1440p at 60 FPS, whereas the prioritized frame rate is a dynamic 1440p at 60 FPS, which can go down to like 1080p, so that does make things a little blurrier. Quality mode does look a lot nicer, but again, while we do have some improvements, you can definitely tell that it's not quite perfectly smooth when we're here on quality mode. Let's do some testing and see what the frame rate mode is all about. So we're going to be showing off some of the fast traveling so that you could see the load times in the game and how that has changed, and just kind of going over a number of different areas so that you could see the improvements to the experience. So I would definitely say things are getting better in regards to the fluidity level. This area typically really would buckle quite a bit. This little stretch here with these characters and whatnot, this is kind of like a little testing area for me that I always kind of use, where I'm like, okay, we'll see here, because there would be like, you know, drops and whatnot. And you know, the experience isn't necessarily like terrible, if you would say, on the Series S to any degree, but you know, there definitely are drops that were present with that first release. Let's take a look at the quality mode. Notice that the pop-in with the grass is still the same. I should also mention that, you know, kind of aside from loading and whatnot, the general game has been getting improvements since launch, and I'm sure they're going to continue to be doing so. There is supposed to be a ray tracing update. I don't know if that's specifically going to apply to the Series S, but if it does, of course, we will come back and take a look at this to see if that is impacting things. So it definitely doesn't seem like perfectly smooth, but it seems a lot more fluid than it was here on the quality mode. So this is actually something that I would say is really pushing Series S to kind of the standard we were sort of almost marketed to, if that makes sense. The whole idea that this is a 1440p 60 FPS kind of console. So, you know, I don't think Elden Ring necessarily has like perfect performance. It certainly doesn't have it right going on right now, but you know, this is something that can sort of show off consoles, and I think will be a very good test of a game going forward, assuming they don't do too much to, you know, change up any of the game modes or like the resolution options going forward. So let's go and let's fast travel to a very far away area, just so that we could see the difference in the loading as we go across the world. So Series S did load actually decently fast in comparison to the higher end, I want to say, consoles, just in regards to what it offered, because, you know, smaller textures. Even then, I would say that is also a good gain on the performance load time there. I would say that is actually quite impressive. Let's switch to prioritize frame rate. And again, you can tell the difference when it actually like really holds that 1440p. It's just like such a more clear image, if that makes sense. Definitely is quite impactful in that regard. So I would say still at this point, if you want a really clean, you know, performing game, performance mode is going to be the way to go. I do think quality mode is a lot more stable. If you have a VRR, a game mode kind of enabled display, I think you actually could be fine with quality mode. I would say that your performance mode is very likely going to be running perfectly smooth if you do choose to go with that option. Let's go to the table of grace. So this is kind of a key area you would go to a lot within the world of Elden Ring. If you do need like a more traditional, wow, that was really quick, really fast. If you do need a more traditional review, I have one on the Series S on the channel and of the Series X as well. But the whole idea here was just to kind of be like, hey, you know, how is the game running? Taking a look at things, seeing the improvements across the experience from a number of key areas. and just getting an idea of things and whatnot. If you do notice that there is a bit of a shift in frame rate when we switch the modes, you have to give it a sec because it's got to adjust, you know? That's just kind of how it works. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, like I was saying, if you have a VRR game mode, that's a variable refresh rate kind of enabled TV, I think you are going to notice, you know, that you are getting an even smoother performance. I have that turned off just for pure testing here of what this game has to offer. I did that on Series X as well because I did notice quite a difference when I was playing, you know, the game with VRR enabled, that it was quite smooth. I think, again, generally overall, a lot of areas run almost perfectly well. Some areas, you know, obviously exhibited some deeper dips than others did. And I think that's something to keep in mind too. It's not like this is just like a mess of performance. It actually is not terrible, right? Could it be better? Absolutely. But, you know, it's not necessarily a terrible experience in regards to how it performs. I think quality mode is still kind of chugging a bit on this one. Yeah, you can immediately feel that kind of fluidity increase there with the high frame rate mode there, which makes sense. I hate these birds. I really passionately dislike these birds. I don't know if others feel that way, but the birds kill me. Literally. But that's a good thing because we can test how long it takes to respawn after a death. And you know, these load times weren't the worst, but for a next-gen console, the load times were kind of a little underwhelming. That is much faster. That I highly appreciate. Keeping in mind that enemies will respawn. So you gotta be careful, and that just means we gotta kill more birds down here as we try to protect these ravens. I love the back hit against that bird, it just like crumbles. But this area, kind of a little, you know, performance pushing, just due to the fact that there is like bolts of like red lightning coming down, enemies in the area, swirling clouds in the backdrop. This dragon's going by. Those are dragons too, wow, okay. So lots of stuff going on here. Quality mode, again, it's like, it is a lot better on the Series S than it was. I am actually kind of impressed. I know we're kind of odd eyeballing things here, but, you know, I thought this was something that would kind of talk about things, you know, at least give you an idea of different areas so that even for yourself you can kind of judge, hey, is this an acceptable level for me to enjoy the experience at? You know, I do think this is actually something they're going to be really focusing on. The game has sold incredibly well, if you didn't know, over 12 million copies already, which is phenomenal. I'm sure it will continue to do well going into the future, as this is quite a insanely popular title. I'm actually just blown away. So this is the Llorona area. This area is typically a very more demanding spot. The water, the particle effects, the trees, that kind of stuff, I think really does kind of tank performance a lot more than other areas would. And again, that quality mode actually doesn't really seem too bad in this one. I think you could give this one a whirl with the Series S. I'm sure there will probably be some more intensive boss fights and or kind of stacked areas that are a little bit more kind of frame rate dropish, but like quality mode is quite a difference. Like that object there, you know, it becomes a lot less, I want to say the word is fuzzy or shimmery, whereas a quality mode, it actually keeps that refined resolution image a lot better. Like, it's not bad either way, but, you know, obviously pushing to get this 60 FPS is going to be a very demanding experience. But when you're playing this type of game, where performance kind of, it does matter, and I know the Dark Souls games don't typically really exhibit insanely well done performance on them all. Like, I mean, they got kind of better here or there, and then, you know, next gen consoles kind of improved that even further. But what I'm saying is, like, you do have to make a lot of well-timed movements, and having a stable frame rate is kind of really essential to getting those frame rates that are actually smooth going on here. To me, that's important for this one because I did, obviously this is a game I think I personally struggled with quite a bit, and I know a lot of other people did too. I did finish it, which I am proud of, but yeah, it definitely is something that will test your abilities. And having frame drops in any areas can really be detrimental to your ability to be able to handle that sort of scenario. The Rose Church of Death. I don't know if I ever got like a... What am I thinking of? One of those tiers of whatever here. Kind of figured, whenever you get a church, you always like, oh, is there another tier thing? And it's just like, when there isn't, you're always disappointed. At least I am. Alright, let's teleport to another area. Well, teleport, fast travel. So actually, I didn't do this on the Series X, but I should do this here. I remember this area actually having some pretty bad performance, this like one stretch here. Because I think it's because when the enemies are shooting at you, plus just like the elevated area on horseback. Because that's our friendly kind of smithing guy. Yeah, you know what? This doesn't feel 100%, but it certainly feels a whole lot better. Yeah, you know what, I'm going to say it. I think you could get away with playing quality mode, particularly with VRR enabled. I think quality mode actually is an acceptable way to play this game now on the Series S. An actually suggestible way to play it. That is amazingly well done there. I like to see that. That's good. I mean, we're not even that far off of launch, and yeah, that actually improves the experience quite a bit for me. Let's go over to... I'm thinking this area might be nice, but after we go and we do our little stress test. So there's an area here where you are able to group together a selection of trolls, which are big creatures. And when you get them sort of smashing and slashing against each other, A, good farming spot. B, it actually is really performance demanding on the game. So let's see what we're dealing with here. Can't believe how much damage I do against these things now, too. I used to do, like, such a little amount. I basically don't even need to group them together to do the farming technique here. But, obviously, for the sake of, hey, we're trying to compare the performance and see how it's like, we do want to get these guys all playing together. And hopefully we don't kill them too fast. Oh. Not my spectral steed. No. Ugh. Really? Again? Well, everybody's gonna get in the same vicinity, so that's good. Yeah, this is handling this area quite well, I would say. Now let's see if we can switch over to quality mode without dying. I know there's less trolls, which doesn't help the presentation showcase, but still, quality mode here seems to be running quite fluidly. I think we've got a bravo moment for this update on the Series S. I'm always amazed by this console and how much it actually like punches above its weight class in regards to like performance and gameplay visuals. That's not always the case, and I think that's typically developers not fully taking advantage of said console, but that this is actually a pretty impressive next-gen offering that is much, much more affordable. I love this area so much because like just the red kind of bleak skies, and it's really grotesque. especially for how you get here usually. If you're one of those people that goes into that chest that like teleports you over here, and it's just like a really not so great area to be stuck in early on in the game. You just kind of get thrashed here, which is entertaining. Again, kind of just whirling away here on the quality mode. And it's actually pretty good. Yeah, you get that variable refresh rate going on, and it should just basically clean things right up for you. I don't think it'll be necessarily perfect the whole time through, but I would say quality mode is certainly a playable experience. This area is a little bit more demanding here. All the rock croppings, different little enemies around here. That thing's spewing its stuff. I can't believe that thing takes so many hits, like even at this crazy level. Blows my mind, actually. Not sure I really want to deal with those doggo monsters, but yeah, you know, it's kind of a little quieter once you kill a lot of the big bosses, like the dragons and whatnot. It's definitely gets a little bit quieter. I am feeling as though there are some kind of drops here as we're going along, but get some really smooth little bits as well. Oh, jeez. Birds in this game, I tell you. Stupid birds. Wait till we get the map to show up again so I could do a little bit of fast traveling. There we go, because I got another area we can kind of go to and showcase. I'm thinking of not the magma areas of that land, not the creepy ass city area. Thinking of over here. Yes, let's take a look at this spot. And again, I would say the loading times are definitely improved. We're shaving seconds off, which, you know, doesn't sound impressive when you're like, oh, we're shaving seconds off, but, you know, that does make quite a difference when you're dying a lot or having to fast travel a lot. So having, you know, that increased frame rate actually makes, well, that makes a big difference, but, you know, having the load time actually being a lot smoother, I think helps a lot too. So this area is rainy, particle effects. It's a good farming spot. And you can kind of see how quality mode here is handling this experience. So this place definitely puts a bigger kind of decline on the experience, but it's still holding up pretty well. I don't think they can really adjust or fix it, but I would love them to handle the pop-in on the grass a little bit more. I think that would be excellent, if it's possible. That would be really nice to see. Yeah, I think if they keep just fine-tuning and optimizing this a little bit better, I don't see why we couldn't have this running perfectly smooth at some point. At launch, I was kind of like, I don't know, that's probably just how this is going to go, but no, this is very, very well. And to add on to that, you know, assuming at some point we get some higher-end upgraded consoles, this should be a perfectly good-looking, well-running experience at that point, I would imagine. This area is a little annoying. These folks, they definitely still do damage, that's for sure. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this look at Elden Ring on the Series S with the 1.03 update, which should be automatically applied. You know, again, liking the video is great, and subscribing is great as well. But, yeah, I hope this gave you an idea of what this update is providing to the version of the game, and it does seem to be a good improvement to the overall experience. I am a lot more happy with it. A little bit of work to go, I think, but right now it's looking up pretty good, and it's feeling pretty good to play.